name's Neil Kamimura. I was asked to come back, and I would never say no to my Forge and Fire family. What I feel I've come back for is to represent the people just starting off and show them that you can do this. The judges asked me to make a competition chopper before I even got out here. I have no idea what they're gonna do with it.
My name is Theo Nast. Winning Forged and Fire allowed me to turn my hobby into a full-time career in knife making and teaching. The judges like to break the rules and mix things up, so I really don't know what I'm up against.
My name's Kelly Vermeer-Vella. I have no idea what they're gonna do with my chopper. I've tried to guess, but I returned to Forge and Fire just to prove to myself that I'm not a one-hit wonder.
My name's Raymond Smith, and I'm back on Forge and Fire because last time I was here, the other competitor didn't meet the requirements, so it basically was a default win. But after I won, I was on a trip to California, and on the way back, a gentleman I was sitting next to actually recognized me. It's like, oh, I need your autograph, and I need this. So I just give him a business card, and here we go.
I am Nick Marcellia. Last time, all three of my opponents had catastrophic failures on their blades, so I'd like to prove it wasn't really a fluke. After watching myself on TV, I did find it interesting what you guys beep over and what you don't. I feel like crap. They let that go through. Well, I feel like it doesn't work. Get in there.
Champions, welcome back to the Forge. You're probably wondering why there are 5 of you and there's only room for 4 in this Forge, and why we asked you to forge your best work in the form of a competition chopper before you even got here. You're all champions, so this time we thought we'd do things a little bit differently and raise the bar even higher. In a Forged and Fire first, we're going to start with a test on these blades you forged at home. You will have to earn your spot at the anvil, and one of you will be sent home before we ever light the first forge. All right, let's meet the men judging your work. Up first, 2-time winner and our very first champion of champions, Ben Abbott.
Holy crap, Ben Abbott. He's the champion of champions, so how fitting for him to be our judge.
Edged weapons specialist, Doug Marcaida. Historic weapons recreation specialist, David Baker. Since we like to throw people right into the fire here, Ben, you're up.
Hello, champions. In this qualifying round, in order to test the edge geometry and the overall construction of your blade, I'm gonna chop into this log 10 times each. I'm glad it's you in there, not me this time. Nick, you're up first. Are you ready?
Oh, sure. Let's do it. My blade is 80 layers of ladder pattern Damascus with G10 handles. I tested my blade on 2x4s and it worked fine, but we'll see what happens.
Well, Nick, your edge held up very well. I don't see any wiggles in the blade. The handle, it's got a nice feel to it. It didn't come out of my hands. Good job.
Thank you much.
Ray, you're next. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I built my chopper out of 5160 steel. I put an Osage handle on it. I think it'll chop.
Well, Ray, your edge held up very, very well, but didn't quite bite into the wood as much as I would have liked to have seen it do. I'm having a rough time indexing this handle into my hand. It's kind of blocky. I did feel the knife take a roll at one point because I just couldn't get enough grip on the handle. Kelly, you're up next. Are you ready?
You bet.
All right.
The competition chopper is 900-layer ladder Damascus with a patriotic handle. It's freaking beautiful, and I don't want it to die.
Kelly, this is a beautiful knife. It chopped the wood very well. It's a purpose-built machine. I love the flag. It's a nice touch, even though I'm English. Theo, you're up next. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right.
Forged 80 CRV2 with some 3D printed cast bronze medallions for a little extra grip on the handle. I think I feel nervous. but I'm pretty sure it's actually just eagerness and anticipation. I just want to see how the chopper does.
Well, Theo, I was a little nervous going into this at how thin of a blade this was, but edge held up perfectly. The handle is a little bit small, a little bit square, but it's a nice little chopper.
Thank you.
Okay, Neil, you're up next. Are you ready?
Ready. I made mine with 5160 spring, G10, and some locally grown coco bolo. I think my competitors are amazing, so I'm a little nervous, you know.
Well, Neil, your edge held up beautifully. It's still as sharp as when it was made. Did quite a number on the oak as well. Very comfortable handle. Did very well.
Thank you.
Being eliminated right away would really be quite unfortunate. I don't want to go home without even having the chance to swing a hammer.
Champions, first of all, thank you all for bringing in blades that were so well made. It makes our decision that much tougher. But unfortunately, there's only room in this forge for 4 of you. The decision has been made. It's time for one of you to leave the forge. Ray, unfortunately, your blade did not make the cut.
Ray, I love the file work on the back. It's a really handsome shape, but unfortunately, things have to come down to small details. It just came down to the fact that I had a really tough time holding onto your handle, and I really couldn't transfer as much force to the wood as I would have liked.
Ray, at this time, I have to ask you to please leave the forge.
One thing with making something like this is it doesn't fit everybody. Sometimes that can be the difference. But even though I'm being sent home, I'm still a Forge and Fire champion. Can't take that away.
Good job, bladesmiths. You've earned a spot at your anvils in the qualifying round. Now it's time to get into the main event. Now, I'm sure you're all looking at this drape with a little bit of anxiety.
This is champions of champions. You can't count anything out.
Champions, today we're not going to be providing you with just 1 steel or 2 steels to work with. Instead, we're providing you with all of them. This is every type of steel that we have in the forge. Your first round challenge is to use 2 or more of these materials combined with powdered steel in a canister Damascus. The blade parameters are as follows. The length of the blade, not including the tang, must fall between 10 and 14 inches. The overall length of your weapon must not exceed 22 inches. Now, one more thing. Today, we will not be giving you any canisters that are of substantial size. Instead, you'll be using these.
Yay, baby cans.
This is a 2-inch by 2-inch can, and I imagine if you're gonna make a blade that is between 10 and 14 inches, you're gonna need more than one of these.
I've never done a normal canister Damascus, let alone a teeny tiny one. Great.
Bear in mind that in the second round, you'll be attaching handles to those blades to turn them into fully functional weapons that will then be tested for strength and durability in an ice chop and for sharpness in a water bottle slice. You will have 3 hours to forge your blades with no design period. Good luck, bladesmiths. Your 3 hour starts now. All right, Ben, you've been in this competition before. You've won it twice. Got to defer to you. How did you do this challenge easier and faster?
You got to do time management.
Isn't the cube Damascus just basically half of canister Damascus?
It is.
How much canisters do you need?
Well, they can use as many or as little cans as they like, but for a 10 to 14-inch blade, I'd use 2.
Well, it seems like all of our smiths are using 3 cans, and Nick actually has 4.
3 cans is quite an aggressive number to be dealing with.
This challenge sucks. You want us to make something difficult and then make it more difficult by making us lose little boxes. Thanks a lot. Yeah. There we go. There you go. I can bleep that out. I have done canister Damascus before, so I paint it with the whiteout on the inside.
What does the liquid paper do for a smith?
The liquid paper keeps the outside canister steel from welding to the interior steel.
We've got a whiteout explosion over on the table where Nick is working.
I know it's got to be dry before I put the materials inside. So I hold it in front of the forge to dry it out.
Look at Nick, he's got his whiteout on fire over there.
Oh, by the way, whiteout burns. It turns into little candles.
The problem is you can burn off that whiteout. Now you've got sections that are going to stick to the can and sections that aren't going to stick to the can.
Let's talk about this challenge. You have to use 2 of those steels that were on the table in addition to the powdered steel. Which ones would you use, Ben?
You go with the thing you know. They're all hardenable steels. The powder's what's most important, because you really want to have powder as the very, very top, because anything that isn't is going to leave a lot of gaps.
Having 3 hours to do the challenge, I don't feel like I can do the whiteout on all those canisters. There's got to be some sort of sneaky way to like put it together a little bit faster.
We know that the canister is mild steel and not hardenable, but Kelly's doing something genius. She took a piece of W2 steel and she welded that to the top of her cans so that when she goes to forge weld those billets together,
She has a hard core.
she has hard to hard.
The W2 hats will go towards the center of my blade. So I'll have bad stuff, good stuff, good stuff, good stuff, bad stuff. And I can grind the bad stuff off of the blade edge.
I'm using 52-100 ball bearings combined with a 1095. With canister Damascus, the hardest part is getting that shell off. So I'm simply not. But it's important to keep the hardenable steel centered, because that will be my edge.
Cook, you.
I have no idea what I'm gonna forge. It really depends on how much steel I end up with. Because according to my math, I'm only gonna end up with about 8 cubic inches of usable material. If I do a third, oh no, okay, hold on. I may only end up with about 3 pieces. Oh, the logic on that doesn't work. Now I'm not 100% sure that's the right. I'm not a mathematician.
The other bladesmiths are talking about math and square footage and cubic footage, and I'm like, so my plan is to use the whiteout, cut the cans off, and use the 2 types of ball bearings. So I get my first can in the forge, and how long do I actually leave it in there?
I know these cans are smaller, but I'm worried that Neil has not gone far enough down through the process to truly get a good weld inside that can.
Yeah, and as soon as it's open, all bets are off.
Yeah.
Me.
Ta-da, it's not forged well. It didn't weld. Now, I know I have to leave the other cans in there longer.
1 hour has already elapsed! You have just 2 hours remaining to finish your blades! Ben, how much better is it to be sitting there than out there?
I feel like an ex-gladiator that's now sitting up with all of the emperors.
I put a big cube in each one of the boxes, as well as some of the ball bearings. The steel feels like it's welded together inside the canisters, so now it's time to start getting those canisters off the outside.
Since you've lit all that whiteout on fire, I think he's going to have a lot of places in there that's stuck together.
The one side peels off fairly easily.
Ha!
But the other side doesn't want to come off at all.
A smash! Big mess!
As I expected, getting the canisters off of the blocks of steel is just a total bleh. Golf clubs look easy at this point. Give me the golf clubs, I'll do that again.
I'm real confident with my canister welds. I've never really had any trouble with it. I've put all sorts of stupid things in cans. I made a knife out of my washing machine because it made me angry.
The masterful hammer strikes that she's doing to open up the canisters is amazing.
That doesn't surprise me. She's a farrier.
I got the steel of the cans welded. Now I'm trying to forge weld the cans together. I'm going to try and fold the one over the other one and make a stack of 3 and see if they'll stick together to themselves. I can see that my pieces aren't welding together.
Oh, come on, you. Neil's been struggling trying to get 3 different sections folded over and forge welded together.
I feel like the judges are here to not only break us, but prove why we can be champion of champions. I think it's a huge honor, and I think you should be broken to earn it. So I can't quit.
I would take a second to weld excessively. Make sure it's not going anywhere and just squish the ever-living out of it.
As a teacher, it's difficult to watch Neil struggle with his welds. I want him to succeed so that when I win against him, it's even more rewarding.
Now, Theo's billet's looking really sharp.
Yeah, and he's doing something really smart. He's not drawing out right away. He's just setting those welds, making sure that they're flawless.
60 minutes remaining to finish your blade.
Seems to be going together in a sort of messy, nasty-looking pile of crap. I have all just gnarly bits on it, which I hope are surface imperfections, that I can get down to good steel in the middle of it.
I can actually see creases down the edge of Nick's billet.
You still see those flakes hanging off the edge.
I need to grind that stuff off so I can get it heat treated.
I'm feeling exhausted, beat down, frustrated.
Holy.
I can do a lot in a small amount of time as long as it's stuck together. I'm just trying to get it stuck together.
He's got those D-lamps everywhere that's separating at the tip.
Yeah, he's just trying to hammer them out.
I've hit the full panic mode. Billet, it's a mess. I realize that I will have nothing to turn into the judges. I told myself that if I get stuck with a problem, that I need to abandon it, no matter what time I have left on the clock.
Holy Neil just grabbed one of the small canisters. He's filling it with ball bearings.
No way.
He's grabbing another billet to start over with 35 minutes left on the clock.
I don't think it's possible.
We've seen miracles happen.
I'll die trying to make it.
Kelly, in the quench. She should have hard steel all the way around.
It's so very soft. I'm assuming just a mild steel jacket. So I have to just go to town with the angle grinder, trying to find a hard piece in there somewhere so I can do a second heat treat.
Nick just quenched.
Oh, come on!
I do make this thing at home where I take a 2-inch by 2-inch piece of steel and draw it out as an example to show. So I know I can draw a single can out pretty far.
2 inches wide by 1/4 inch thick. You get 18 inches out if you lose 0. Won't all these guys be mad if he gets enough blade out of a 1 canister? Neil is a freaking magic man. Look at that.
He can live can on the outside. All he needs to do is expose that center steel so we have hardened steel on the edge of that knife.
Theo, letting his blade cool down quite a bit.
Yeah.
I need to normalize this blade. It's undergone a lot of transformation, but it's big and thick and heavy, so I can see that it's going to be down to the last minute. If this comes out of the quench really warped, I'm going to have seconds to fix it. So, fingers crossed.
Neil and Kelly are in.
All right,
come on,
do
there
it.
we go.
Neil,
Yeah.
Neil's in.
All the blades are
All.
quenched.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmith, shut down your machines, drop your tools, because this champion's round is over.
This is the ugliest thing I have ever made in my life. But I put it all out there, everything I had. And that, to me, is what I see as a champion.
Bladesmiths, that was an amazing round of competition. Now it's time for the judges to take a closer look at your work. Theo, you're up first.
The handle seems small in terms of its balance for the blade. The way it is right now is very forward heavy. So hopefully you'll be able to flare that out. Have an anchor here to protect it from going away from your hand.
Kelly, you're next. Please present your blade to the judges.
Well, Kelly, it's a beast. I like the overall shape of it. The welds all seem very tight. It's got a little bit of a warp, but that's well within rider range for something this thick.
Nick, you're up. Please present your blade to the judges.
Well, Nick, I see some issues with the cans that you welded together. There's a lot of delamination, and the big issue, you can put a playing card in there. That's quite a massive crack.
I'm very worried that a lot of that whiteout was still in those cans. Back in here, that seam is running from there to there, up the middle of this. And if this progresses and as you remove this, my biggest concern is that you're going to open up areas in this knife that are virtually hollow.
Neil, you're up.
Well, Neil, if I were these 3 guys, I'd be mad as hell at you. Because you just showed them they wasted 2.5 hours and multiple canisters to do what they could have done with 1 can in 32 minutes. Needless to say, it's a little rough, but the welds are tight, and my God, it's a knife. Well done.
Thank you.
Bladesmiths, the judges have completed their deliberation. It's time for one of you bladesmiths to leave the forge. Nick, your blade did not make the cut.
Nick, first off, your energy in this forge is infectious. But in the end, it came down to the deep void that runs down the center of that blade. And that's why we've got to let you go. I don't think there's any way we can fix that.
Nick, please surrender your blade.
I completely agree with the judges. It looks like beat that part. It's very frustrating having made something that I'm not really proud of. But I'm still a champion, so I'm doing all right. No, not really.
Bladesmiths, congratulations, you've made it to the second round. But your work is far from over in this tournament of champions. Of course, in this round of competition, you'll be placing handles on your blades to turn them into fully functional weapons. You will have 3 hours in this round. Your time starts now.
And away we go.
Who do you think has the most work to do?
I would say it's Kelly. The amount of steel she has on her blade has to be ground out.
Up on your soapbox, huh?
I'm up on my box. So my plan for round 2 is to camp out at the grinder for quite some time. I've got a big old knife. My biggest concern is there's not enough sanding belts in the state of New York for 3 of us to finish our knives. I'm keeping an eyeball on Theo to make sure he's not robbing all the good belts. I want my half of the belts, damn it.
The very first thing I'm gonna have to do is address the judge's concern that the handle seemed a little bit small.
There we go.
Theo, just to extend that handle a little bit, and he's actually welded a section to make his tang longer.
I want to make sure I made a handle large enough for the judges.
Can I get some hands on this? Your hands are bigger than mine.
No, go over there. What the fuck are you doing over here? Get out of here. We all looked at him like he was on drugs.
I almost grabbed it.
Whatever. I have to just imagine that my hand was sausage fingers.
So the one genius thing I think that Neil has done is he's set us up with the expectation of a rustic blade.
My design is like a 2-piece handle construction, or 4, or I don't know. Two per side, I guess.
After winning Forge and Fire, I noticed that I saw a lot of knives the first time knife buyers. Typically, the majority of them are girls. People better watch out. There's a lot of armed girls out there now.
We're about an hour and 45 minutes into this, and Kelly hasn't stepped away from the grinder yet.
Just need to get a handle on, and then I can go back to the grinder and work on my blade some more. What do we got?
You could slap a handle on pretty quickly if you have to. I just hate to see people putting a handle on as an afterthought.
I used to get popsicles that looked just like this when I was a kid. My biggest concern about coming back is failing miserably and being sent home on a Greyhound, because I don't even deserve, like, an airplane ticket.
There are just 60 tiny little minutes left on the clock.
I liked the blue theme of the original chopper I made, and I decided to keep with it. Bluing the spine actually helps the blade absorb shock, so it's nice and soft in the spine and shock absorbing for that ice chop.
He's softening the spine to make sure that if anything were to happen, it doesn't snap in two.
I went with this synthetic material that I think is paper and other I'm not exactly sure about, but it matched the theme, so I just kind of went with it.
I think I was invited back because of the terrible jokes that I told. I bought a dog from a blacksmith. I know the dog was from a blacksmith because as soon as I got him home, he made a bolt for the door. But
I finish off my handle, so I decide to go straight to the acid etch, because why are you gonna do canister Damascus and not acid etch it? That's the whole point. I want to see what's in there.
10 minutes!
I'm running out of time. So I decide I need to leave my handle fairly rough and try and put an edge on it. Once I start getting down to where it's tapering and looking more like an edge, I see like a little crack showing up right on the edge of the blade. I'm a little nervous, but I don't have time to do anything about it. Bad Kelly.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmiths, drop your tools. This round is over.
I'm happy I finished my blade, but I'm concerned about delamination on the edge. I'm afraid that could be a catastrophic failure that sends me home.
Champions, I'm going to take your blades. I'm going to chop into these ice blocks 6 times each. Never underestimate ice's strength. It is sunk ships, and it's broken blades. Neil, you're up first.
Bust 'em. I'm nervous. If my blade chips into a million pieces or breaks, then I'm done.
Wow. Okay, Neil, your blade held up really well. Destroyed some ice. The handle is a little bit wider than I'd prefer, but in all, it's a nice heavy chopper for such a small blade and for something made out of 1 canister. Nice job.
Thank you.
Theo, you're up next. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm a bit worried, but this test is a very good icebreaker. But,
Holy crap.
Hey, killed it.
Well, Theo, as you can see, an extremely impressive job on the ice. There is a little bit of deflection of the edge up here, but overall, it held up really well.
thank you.
Kelly, you're up next. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do this.
Right now, I'm so nervous. I'm worried about those cracks right on the edge. My blade could very well blow apart.
Now, Kelly, we've got some chips. I think it's right at the forge weld near the edge here. But the rest of the blade held up nicely. Nice job, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, champions, this is the sharpness test. Now, to test the sharpness of the edge of your blade, I'll be cutting through these 5 water bottles. If your knife's sharp, we should leave the bottom of those bottles sitting on the deck. Neil, you ready?
Mine will get thrown the farthest.
Okay, Neil, that is a very stout edge. It's sharp. We cut through 3 bottles. Nick, the 4th, shoved 1 out of the way. Well done.
Thank you.
Theo, you're up. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, you can see there are 5 water bottle bases still on the table. They tipped over. I'm not worried about that. All 5 cut. Good job.
Thank you.
Kelly, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. That's a big knife. We took 4 of these bottles in half, but that thick profile pushed everything out of the way. I don't even think I nicked the last bottle, but did the job. Nicely done.
Thanks.
Bladesmiths, you've all done an excellent job in this competition. However, only 2 can move on to the finale. So it's time for one of you to leave the forge. Kelly, your blade did not make the cut.
Kelly, I really enjoy watching you work. Nobody swings hammers like farriers. But in the end, those chips that popped off of your blade in the ice chop, well, it's something we can't overlook, and that's the reason we send you home.
I understand.
Kelly, you're a fantastic competitor, and I know the community respects the hell out of you. But today, I have to ask you to surrender your weapon and please leave the forge.
In every competition, there's a winner, and there's people that don't win. It's a champion, so to be in the middle of that was pretty cool. When I get home, I'm gonna make so many cans of Damascus. I'm gonna just start stacking them together. I think I might just make a Rubik's Cube out of canister Damascus. I think that would be amazing.
Neil, Theo, congratulations. You've made it into the finale for this competition. there's only one thing you have left to do, and that is to go back home and recreate an iconic weapon from history. The Tai Chi sword. Emerging from China over 2,500 years ago, the Tai Chi sword is known as the gentleman of weapons due to its refinement and sophistication. Symbolizing power and authority, the weapon is one of the most common ancient weapons still in practice, with millions of students studying it worldwide. Fast and light, its straight double-edged blade was used for quick stabs and lethal cuts, while the sword's fairly blunt lower section was built to block and deflect attacks. Its reputation is also preserved in popular culture through its role as the coveted Green Destiny sword in the film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Your blade must be double-edged, have a winged guard, and pommel.
Last time I was on the show, I made a naginata. In comparison, the Tai Chi sword has a lot more blade. It's gonna be a lot of work.
You will have 5 days at your home forge to accomplish this. At the end of 5 days, you'll return and present your work to our panel of expert judges. And only after they've brutally tested them will they declare one of you the Forged in Fire champion of champions and give you that cash.
I'm concerned because the Tai Chi sword is really light. I probably have regular knives that are heavier than that whole sword. So that's a challenge for me.
Good luck, bladesmiths. We'll see you in 5 days.
Best luck, man.
It's a definite honor to be in the position that I'm at. I gotta build a Tai Chi sword. I think they're confused. I'm not Chinese.
It's gonna be a hard job. This is the first time I've ever made something this long. Holy
But I'm never gonna quit.
it's heavy.
I guarantee you mine's gonna be heavier than Theo's. I don't like skinny little things. I like things with some stout. This thing's monster.
Here we are at my forge. Very first thing I'm gonna do is start forge welding things together. Please go right. The biggest obstacle is the raw amount of forging I have to do. Then getting the guard to forge weld to the blade itself, and then being able to forge the pommel on as well. If the welds don't hold, everything will be coming apart. How important are guards on swords? They can be integral, but
I really need to make a guard for this sword. It needs a guard that's winged up. So what better than a bowl? There's a lot of pressure to build something champion of champion worthy. But I don't want to lose who I am, which is taking anything that anybody can get and create something that can compete.
This is like Chinese, so they can eat soup out of it at the same time.
Today's a quench. Big moment of truth. Should have practiced this motion with this new setup. If things go wrong right now, I gotta start again, so no pressure. Perfectly straight. Things went amazingly well, but now I gotta work on the handle material. It's definitely gonna be the most challenging part of this weapon.
Come on, Theo. If I don't get this to sit well inside of the little valley that I've created here, it's gonna look horrible.
Today is important. The blade has to be heated evenly. Trying to get the sword lighter has been kind of difficult. And being that this is the longest thing I've ever heat treated, I'm not really set up for it. I can kind of feel it want to bend because of the weight of the tip.
So I am a little bit scared.
My blade is straight. I don't have to re-quench it. I'm stoked.
Today's all about polishing and finishing. I'm happy with the blade. If I win, the money would most likely go to starting a new life with my wife. I had to put that in there. I'd get in trouble if I didn't. Oh, God, we're still recording. I'm sorry, Daisy.
Theo, Neil, welcome back to the forge. Theo, tell us about your blade.
Went very well. I did an integral guard and pommel by forge welding on both of them. The blade's handle is relatively simple construction so that it can be beaten out of.
You sound monotonely excited about that. Neil, how'd it go for you, man?
Same recipe as the last time I was here. Go to the junkyard, get some stuff because I didn't expect to make it this far.
All right. Well, gentlemen, up first is the strength test. Ben?
Champions, I'm going to be hitting this bamboo 5 times. Remember, it's not what your sword does to the bamboo, but what the bamboo does to your sword. Theo, you're up first. How you feeling?
A little nervous. Let's go for it.
Well, Theo, this is a brute of a sword. The edge held up perfectly. I don't see any problems. Still straight as an arrow. The handle is a little bit difficult to really control. I would have liked a little bit more meat on it, but very well done.
Thank you.
Neil, you're up next.
Boy, that's a tough test. That bamboo setup is literally just blunt force trauma. I don't think a lot of blades can survive that kind of jarring and punishment.
Well, Neil, the sword is heavy. I wouldn't want to be running around with it. There's a little bit of damage that the bamboo gave back to your sword, but it's still straight. Very well done. Nice job.
Thank you.
Next up is the sharpness test. For that, Dave.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to be chopping through these tatami mats using both edges of your sword. Let's see if your blades still have an edge. Theo, you're up first. You ready for it?
Yeah, sure. This is the make it or break it moment. I have to perform well on this test.
All right, Theo, definitely a sharp blade. You can see the nice clean slice and then burying into the second. I like the design. It's definitely a solid piece. And that's one of the nice things about it. I don't feel like it's gonna go anywhere. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, Neil, you ready?
Yep.
So the biggest thing is all that weight. About twice what it needs to be as far as weight goes. It's difficult to swing. And then the edge of this blade, it's got a very stout profile, almost like an axe. Just kept it from cutting all the way through.
Theo, Neil, we took 5 champions, we whittled it down to 2, but there can only be one Forged in Fire champion of champions. That champion is Theo. Congratulations. Neil, unfortunately, your weapon did not make the cut.
Neil, you came up and showed us that you had the heart to make it to the finals and against 4 other champions. But your sword took some damage during the strength test. But more than that, it's heavy. A Tai Chi sword is known to be strong, sharp, and light. For those reasons, we have to let you go.
Neil, please surrender your weapon.
I 100% agree with the judges. Theo earned it. But I don't look at this as a failure in any means because I gave it my all. I can walk away, look everybody in the eye, and have everyone's respect. And that's worth more to me than any title or any amount of money.
Theo, congratulations. You are the new Forged in Fire champion of champions and will be receiving a check for $10,000. How you feel right now?
Boy, the butterflies and the nerves are still going, but thank you guys.
Please present your weapon to the judges.
One! My ego was pretty big beforehand, and I think this is only going to inflate it. Not a good thing, not a bad thing, I think.